I'm Randy Stone, one of the creators of Bullet and Bullet Adventures. You're listening to True North Country Comics Podcast.
Welcome to the True North Country Comics Podcast, dedicated to promote Canadian comic book and graphic novel creators and supporters. I'm John Swinimer. If you want to drop me a line, you can contact me at john@truenorthcountrycomics.com. On this episode, I chat with Randy Stone about the ongoing comic book series Bullet Adventures and more. This podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. If you want to help the site and the podcast, please consider supporting the effort by chipping in at ko-fi.com/truenorthcountrycomics. Your patronage is greatly appreciated. Based in Surrey, BC, Randy has written, drawn, inked, or lettered various comics, including Eskimo Kisses with Scout Comics, Champion at Arcana, a story in Alterna's If Horror Anthology, and a self-published collection of shorts, Death and Comics. Having success with his first Kickstarter, there are more projects in the works for Randy's self-publishing brand, Altruist Comics. Randy's current Kickstarter is a continuation of the Bullet Adventures, which he wrote with Jordan Alseca, accompanied by artists Nicholas Carrizo and Francesca Citarelli, with lettering by Lucas Gattoni. Bullet Adventures continues in these new issues of the Silver Age Speedster as he returns in an all-new edge-of-your-seat story. Designed to recapture the days of Silver Age comics, Bullet Adventures is a fun trip down nostalgia lane, packed with excitement and fun for readers of all ages. And now, without further ado, here's my chat with Randy Stone about the ongoing comic book series Bullet Adventures and more. So Randy Stone, thank you very much for taking time to chat with me.
Thanks for having me back, John.
Well, absolutely. Anytime at all. Before we get started with all the questions, though, I want to ask you, what's on your bedside reading table? What are you reading today?
I actually just finished reading the first couple volumes of Stillwater. That's Chip Zdarsky and Ramon Perez, I think is his name, the artist.
Absolutely.
A lot of fun. It's through Skybound. Really cool concept, and they pulled it off really well. So I think the series is actually finishing pretty soon, so I'll check out the third trade once that comes out.
Yeah, absolutely. They are good folks, good Canadian folks, and they've got a big hit on their hands there, that's for sure. It's a little sad that it's ending, but I'm sure it's they can move on to some other project down the road, so it's a good reading for sure.
Better than letting it drag on too long, though, I think.
Yes, that's true. That's true. It's a good way to, when your time is up and conclude a story and then move on to something else. Absolutely. Yes. But we're here not talking about them. We're talking about you tonight. And I understand you have a new Kickstarter. It's for the issues 2 and 3 of Bullet Adventures. Now, we've talked about this book before, but for those who might not remember, can you talk a wee bit about the story and what inspired you to create it?
Yeah, so Bullet originally was a one-shot I put out last year. The Silver Age Speedster superhero set in the 60s, and that was the concept of the one-shot. And I wanted to continue on with the character because I just really liked it. It was never intended to be more than the one-shot, but we decided to continue on and bring this into the present day. So we put out the issue 1 of the continuing series last Kickstarter. That's recently been fulfilled completely. And moving on with issues 2 and 3. That's where it moves to the present day with issue 2. I'm actually giving away a PDF of that story online for anybody who's interested in reading it, trying to build some buzz for the campaign and kind of proof that if you read it, you'll love it and hopefully back it.
Yeah, what sort of feedback did you get from that first issue from readers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody that I talked to enjoyed it. They liked the concept, the artwork. We've had some changes in the art in the previous issues until now. I'll get into that a bit. But yeah, all positive stuff. I think it's really well received, and I hope more people will write in and tell me, what they liked or even didn't like, and kind of build a little letters page in the back, and have that community of readers that would actually respond.
That's a good thing. That reminded me, I remember last time we chatted, it had that throwback sort of feel, and that reminded me of reading comic books when I was growing up. And if you put a letters column in there, hey, that cements the deal for me.
Exactly.
I remember
I'm trying to rebuild that whole feeling of the stuff I was reading as a kid as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's just a fun superhero story, so I figured that's what I'd like to see.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, you just hinted about collaborators, people who helped you with the art and other aspects. Can you just remind me again about who those people are and how they're helping you?
Yeah, so Jordan Alseca's back writing the story with me, and Lucas Gattani is doing the lettering still, but we've had a change in the art roles. The initial one-shot was done by Kath Lobo, and Laura Kane came in to do the first issue of the series. Unfortunately, she wasn't available to continue on with us. So I've found Nico Carrizo and Fran Citarelli, wonderful creators, and they've done the next 3 issues so far. Nico's brand new to comics. The cover that he did for #1 was actually his first published work, and Fran has done a ton of coloring. So the two of them put together is a very modern take. Still we're approaching it with that old school vibe as far as just classic superheroes. But since it was brought to the present day, it was a perfect fit to have that modern style as well.
Ah, okay. That's the explanation for the change in the art style. Very good. Because sometimes that can be a little jarring when you're reading a series and all of a sudden it happens, right? You have to, someone just swapped out for someone else because they have to move on to another project or, whatever the case may be. So that's a really good idea.
It wasn't planned necessarily, John. Unfortunately, Laura couldn't continue, but it was at a perfect opportunity as we moved from different time periods. So it's not such a jarring change in styles. And they do complement each other, so it's not the worst thing to have these two paired up. Although it wasn't intentional, it was fortunate that it was perfect timing.
Right. What was the creation process for this book? Did you have the script completely written out and then pass along to your artists, or was it a back and forth type of thing?
Yeah, the scripts were done before the art was started. That was something that I brought to Jordan again, with just some ideas on how we could continue the story and bring it into the present day. So he had actually scripted it and went back and forth a little bit and fine-tuned that. But we did have the scripts done before Laura came on board for #1. And then we were a few issues deep when she realized she couldn't continue. So Nico was handed full scripts as well. Moving forward, I would like to actually involve the whole creative team, kind of talk a little bit before we start on future issues and get their input and see what they actually want to be drawing and coloring and lettering. So it's not just the two of us kind of dictating exactly what's going to happen moving forward.
Sure. Sometimes when the artist gets a hold of the script and starts going, delivering content, sometimes the writer gets sparks of ideas. And I'm wondering, exactly. Did that happen at all in this instance?
You know what? There might have been a few fine-tunings along the way, but it was pretty much set. But I agree. That's happened in the past for sure. Somebody will draw something in a way that you didn't expect it. I have a bit of an art background. I've drawn some pages myself, so I kind of have a visual of what I would expect the page to look like. And then sometimes the artist will turn in something completely different and for the better. So you may want to fine-tune some dialogue here and there, but I think generally it was set. That's why I want to bring them in from the start and actually let's approach these future issues with everybody in mind.
Sure, makes sense. I want to talk about something completely off topic, and that's AI. And I know that's the hot button topic these days. People are wondering, how is it going to impact creation of everything, from artwork to writing, you name it. Even today I saw Ryan Reynolds spoofing how AI is helping him with writing a script for an ad for Mint Mobile. So with that in mind, I'm wondering, have you considered using AI as part of your creation process, either through the writing process or even in illustration?
You know what? I haven't really done that. I haven't really considered it. I tried playing around with one of the AI things just because I was curious what it was all about. I think the negative aspect is that they're actually stealing from artists that have their work online, and that's where it's just not acceptable. Initially, I thought it was just kind of computers prompted to make up images, but not realizing that they have to get the source material from somewhere. So yeah, I'm kind of on the same side as most of the artists who are against the use of it. I could see maybe, and I haven't looked into it at all, but I get these advertisements for marketing things that are AI generated, and I can kind of see something like that might be useful because the marketing hat on top of all the creating is just one more thing to worry about. So I think if anything, I may try to play with that and see if that would work to save me some time as far as just pumping out tweets and advertisements and stuff like that if that was AI generated. But honestly, I haven't even touched it, and I really don't know that much about it beyond that.
Yeah, it's a brave new world, unfortunately, that we're all living in. And I think as long as the artist is in control of their own content, I think it's fine. But as you said, there are instances where images are being created with AI, but they're using or repurposing other artwork, and probably not a good thing at all. That's it. Anyway, that's for the future. But let's get back to talking about your Kickstarter, which is on the go. And I'm wondering if you could talk about the incentives for those who want to back your project. What do you have in store for them?
Yeah, so it's a nice and simple campaign. We've got the brand new second and third issue, but we've got the first issue in the one-shot and all the other Altruist Comics titles available as add-ons. That includes books, trading cards, stuff like that too. So it's really stripped down, simple. I just want people to see the story, and they'll get that either digitally or in print. And yeah, if they missed out on previous books that I've done, they'll all be available there too.
Very good. Something I've asked other creators when it comes to creating their books is if they consider digital different from print. I know that there's a lot of people who are trying to move away from paper, and it's very hard to come by. Does that impact at all in the writing of the story in terms of the layout and how it could be perceived, read on a digital device versus a physical book?
Well, I think if you're doing like webtoons kind of things, then you do have that vertical scroll and you may approach it differently. But as far as my digital books, they're just PDFs that you'll see the same comic page that you would if you got in print. So I don't approach it any differently. I think it's necessary because probably about 50%, my last campaign, it was half and half of who was backing digitally and who bought the print copy. That could just be shipping costs. I know that's a factor for us in Canada. It costs a fortune to ship it around the world. Any projects I backed is pretty much only digitally because I can't afford to spend an extra $20 or $30 on something that's like a $5 or $10 book. Yeah, I think also like space in people's homes. I'm dealing with that with all the old long boxes of comics I've collected over the past 30 years. I think digital is nice. But I do find I don't always get around to reading my digital stuff, whereas if you have something in hand, you're more inclined to actually read through it. So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but I think there's at least a 50-50 split in readership that, some want it each way.
Yeah, that's interesting, yeah. Yeah, I know that I've got books here piling up that I've got to get to, and I also get in trouble if I've got too many sitting around. So that's another issue for sure. So you're going to be busy here with the issues 2 and 3 of your book, and I'm wondering what's next for you. Like, can you talk about something down the road? Will there be additional issues of this, or are you going to be tackling another project completely different in the future?
Yeah, a bit of both. Number 4 is actually almost ready to go too. We're waiting on the backup story that'll be in there, but otherwise the main story is done for number 4. And basically, if this campaign does well, we'll move full steam ahead on future issues of Bullet Adventures. I do have a couple other things in the works, but nothing that I can really talk about because they're still not that far along. So for now, I've just put my attention on Bullet Adventures and promoting that, and hopefully I'll have news on the other ones soon.
Sounds good. So you got a lot on the go, that's for sure. So wondering with that in mind, I'm wondering where you recommend people go online to find out about your current and your future projects.
Yeah, so definitely social media. I'm at Altruist Comics on most social media platforms. I've got my website, altruistcomics.com. I'll definitely post news on there as well. But yeah, follow me on Twitter, Facebook group. Again, Altruist Comics pretty much everywhere.
Sounds good. Well, Randy, those are all the questions I've got for you. But I'm wondering, is there something I didn't ask that you'd like to get across in this interview?
I don't think we've left anything out. I hope people check out the campaign. Again, I'll pass on a link to you for you to share the PDF of number 2's story. And that way readers can give that a try. But yeah, hope to see everybody in the Kickstarter and support a great book by a lot of really great creators that I got to work with.
Thanks to Randy for the chat. You can discover more about Randy on Instagram at Altruist Comics and online at altruistcomics.com. And you can discover more about Bullet Adventures number 2 and 3 on Kickstarter. And thanks to you for listening to the True North Country Comics podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to and like this podcast on Apple Podcasts. And please leave a good rating. Also check out the TrueNorthCountryComics.com website and follow along on Tumblr at True North Country Comics. True North Country Comics is now on YouTube. Please like and subscribe to that video channel. And hit the notification button to get notified about new videos. Please send your feedback to John at TrueNorthCountryComics.com. And if you want to help the site and the podcast, please consider supporting the effort by chipping in at ko-fi.com/TrueNorthCountryComics. Your patronage is always appreciated. Thanks again for listening, and come back soon for another episode. Bye for now. Truth Country Comics Podcast, copyright Truth Country Comics, copyright 2023.